ReefDudes is sponsored by Brightwell Aquatics and Bulk Reef Supply.
Today we got an update on the new frag tank. What's going on, guys? Devin from ReefDudes. Now, the past week or so, I've been spending all my free time moving corals from my other systems into the new frag tank. Now, my main goal with this one is, first step is just to consolidate everything. So I've been trying to make frags and move stuff in, all the stuff from the sand bed in my big tank. And also I had a little temporary tank and a lagoon tank. Everything's kind of consolidating in here. And so far, so good. Yesterday, over the last couple of days, I caught all the fish and moved those guys into the tank. So everyone is kind of hiding out in there. So I got the 2 wrasses. I got a yellow tang, got a chromis, a azure damsel, 2 clowns, and 2 Banggai cardinals. Now, I did put, if you kind of look in the back there, I did put in 2 Tupperware containers of sand, and that's mainly in there for the wrasses. Other than that, you can see it's bare bottom. And for now, the racks, I just used some good old egg crate and glued some acrylic on the bottom for the legs. And there is a little bit of sag in my light bar, so I'm gonna have to try and balancing that out later. For now, I just put a little chunk of PVC in there, which seems to be kind of working for now. A little coupler. In the corner here, I made a little rock flower basket. So this is just a little basket from the dollar store. So I use that, and I use some of this kind of knitting craft mesh as just like a little perimeter, just as any babies will hopefully help contain them. But so got all the flowers moved in, and they're open. They seem pretty happy. This way they're still going to get flow in the basket, but it should contain them. And the other big thing I did too, if you look at the water line, it's just above the water line, and that's just to prevent them from escaping out and running around the tank. Now if you come down below, I was actually just mixing this so it's nice and milky now, but I've been using the ice cap calc stir, and so far this thing's actually working really well. This is the largest model. I think it's the 300, and I put in 100 grams of calc. I think they said 150 to 180. I figured I'd start at 100, and then I've been dosing it at 1 mil per minute to the tank, so it's just a slow, steady drip, and that's actually been doing pretty well, keeping things stable. I did put a mark there the other day just to get an idea of how much evaporation I'm getting. So I obviously got to put the auto top off on next, which that will be on pretty soon, keep things nice and stable. For now, it's been a bit manual. I haven't even bothered hooking up the calcium reactor quite yet, because so far the calc stir has actually been taking care of everything, so we'll see how far that goes. But so far so good. I've already burned through another set of filters on here. So I have the 1 micron filters, which I thought would be a great idea. However, they clog up fast. I literally used them. Mind you, I've filled this tank and a bunch of other stuff, but they're already clogged, so I already got to replace the pre-filters again. So I think once I run out of my stockpile of 1 micron, I can go back to 5 micron filters. And we have the lovely mess of controllers down here. So I did get another adaptive reef controller board, so I'm gonna build that. That way we can organize all this and start to clean things up. Now when I look back over at this tank, you can tell it's basically empty now. I've got a few little random things in there. I got a bunch of zoas. I'm gonna try and see if I can salvage them off and a few different things, put them on some frag plugs and move them over, but just about ready to shut this tank down for now. And I got another little temporary one, which hopefully we'll be able to shut that one down as well pretty quick. And once that one's fully shut down, I'll be able to steal the other return pump off it and the ATO and all that jazz and finish setting up the rest of the sump. So it's close. So let's get that controller board built, and we will get this one set up and looking pretty. The new cabinet is built and looking mighty awesome, I might say. So this is actually from Adaptive Reef, so huge shout out, thank you Kyle, especially for the custom nameplate and everything to go with it. Looks pretty awesome. Now this version is kind of a V2 of the cabinet, because I have V1 on the water box. And a few things I noticed when I was building this is this one is actually much more solid, so I appreciate all the upgrades. If you look on the back, we got little pins at the top and bottom that kind of go into the board, as well as kind of stronger magnets in there, so it sucks it together a lot better. So I do appreciate that, so awesome little upgrades. So I think I'm gonna mount my 2 power bars just to the back of the one side of this, and to do that I can remove this little shelf. Now, one cool thing about these, aside from it being kind of waterproof because it's a PVC plastic, is it's actually not that hard to drill or cut or modify. So I think I should be able to just razor blade through this. Might take a few passes, but we should be able to cut this off. There you go, look at that. See, nice sharp oval blade. Quick and easy to modify, which is a pretty sweet feature. So now, should be able to mount these 2 power bars vertically right along here. Now, the nice thing about doing this before you install it is it's easy to flip it and get around to the different little angles. So with these little Ecotech driver mounts, they have a little 3M sticky on the back, so you can just put it on your driver, take off the sticky and kind of place it, and it'll hold it in place until you can pop a screw through it, which makes it nice and easy. Now, to keep things nice and tidy, I'm actually using these little cable ties I just got off Amazon. One big thing about these is they have a screw hole in it. A lot of the ones have the sticky tape, and it's really easy for it to come off, and then it's just kind of annoying later. These, you could use that to put it in place with the sticky tape. You know, pop a screw into it, and then you know it's not going anywhere. So these work really well, and they're pretty inexpensive. So if you guys want some, I will slap one of my Amazon links in the description. And it is an affiliate link, so if you buy it through it, it does help me out a little bit. So if you do, thank you. Nice, easy way to keep your wires nice and tidy and keep things organized and looking good. Now, just because there's so much extra wires, I think I'm gonna run extension cord 2 here, and I'll plug these 2 in here. That way the whole cabinet can kind of be modular and come out if I ever need to access or maintain something. I think that's gonna be a good way to do it. Now this is 1/2 inch thick, and I'm using 1/2 inch screws. So with that little bit of buffer of the plastic, it should be just enough that it won't actually poke through. Now the top shelf is gonna be our GHL controller. And so that will slide just inside of there. I'll be able to fit 3 drivers across there. All right, so got these 3 now, the bottom row. Since I have 4 power heads along the back, I'm gonna do 1 more. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 for the back, and then 1 and 2 for the 2 return pumps. So the second one, again, I still gotta wait to get it off the other tank, but this should work for now. So we'll kind of pre-mount this bracket. Should be good to go for when I actually get to move it over. Beautiful. I guess now we'll hook up the GHL, connect all the little pad cables, and figure out how we program this thing, get these guys set up. Now, one useful thing about the pad cables is they're basically just a networking cable. So really easy to make your own if you need custom sizes or extended or any of that jazz. So I've been debating how to automate the auto top off. Now, shout out to Thomas because he actually gave me this idea. I didn't realize it at first, but this is the Flood Guardian, or the Marriage Saver rather. So it's used, you clip it onto the side of your bucket when you're filling it. And one thing I didn't realize that he pointed out was that if the sensor's dry, it will auto start filling. So what I'm actually gonna do is hook this up directly to my auto top off bin, which is behind the controller board. And I'm gonna kind of put it on a timer. So I'm gonna use one of the controlled outlets on here, and maybe I just turn it on for say an hour every few days, and maybe every 4 or 5 days, and it's gonna refill my auto top off bin. So I'll try and figure out where I can work it, so maybe it's once a week or whatever it works out to. Now I am gonna drill a hole in the lid and put a float valve. That way if something happened or this ever failed, then the float valve would work as the backup. And I'll put the electronic sensor a little bit below it, so this is really only there as a backup, or vice versa. So I think it's gonna work out pretty well. Now I kind of laugh at myself because I'm going for the fancy ATO container with the nice purple lid to match the pipe, and now it's in the back corner, you don't even see it. Yeah, go figure. Try and put something in there to catch the shavings. Now what I'm using here is called a stepper drill bit, so this will slowly make the hole bigger. Super handy if you're doing DIY stuff like this. Styrofoam did its job. So we got the controller board installed, just about fully wired up. I got most of all the main wires ran and stuff mounted inside. Still a few little things to do. Ordered a replacement extension cord because one of the plugs was a bit flaky on that one, and a few things. So she's definitely getting there. Super stoked with the controller board. Love the little light up logo on it. Thank you, Kyle. And yeah, overall I'm gonna say things are settling in quite well. There's still getting a little bit of kind of that new tank diatoms in there. I have been using a bunch of the Microbacter 7 as kind of a way to help cycle it, on top of all the media I brought over. So if you look in the baffles, at the very bottom, I got a bunch of the Brightwell, those little tiny cubes, not the cubes, I guess the crushed media in there. And so those are all on the bottom, and then I moved all my Eshop's Biolux over from the prior tank. There's a marine pier block in there, and if you look way back in there, there's also 2 of the Brightwell bricks underneath the filter roller. So we've got tons of live media added to the tank. Besides that, I guess there's a little bit of rock that got brought over, not a ton, so we did lose some of that stuff from losing the sand bed. I'm hoping the addition of all that other media down there should kind of balance things out. But overall, parameters, everything in the tank seem pretty stable and happy, minus a little bit of diatoms, but things are looking pretty darn good. I did frag a few more things out of my big tank just to kind of clear up some more space in the tank and then put some more stuff in here. Controller cabinet looks wicked, love that logo on the top there, thanks for that extra little bonus, Kyle, much appreciated. And everything right now so far is running off the calc reactor. I'm dosing about 1 mil a minute, and I still got to figure it mount it nicely, but you can kind of see the verses just very slowly spinning, so super duper slow dose. Pulling from the ATO container, and from there I put the little Flood Guardian on there, and I'm going to put that on a timer so it turns on maybe every like 4 or 5 days and just tops off the ATO. So that's been working pretty well. Got the tons of media down there. The next couple things on the to-do list is I got to build my screen top for it. So far, so good with the 2 RASes in there, but just to be safe, it's good to always have that top on the tank. As for the calcium reactor, we'll kind of see how the calcster does. I haven't added water to it yet. The media, everything's in there. So I'll probably get it prepped, and maybe I'll let water flow through it for now, and then once I need to, things start to settle and start to grow, probably in a couple weeks, once all the corals kind of adapt and settle, they'll start growing some more, and then I'll need that extra supplementation. But in the meantime, the calcster looks like it's doing the job. I also did set up the GHL last night. Now, it wasn't too bad actually. Like I didn't even look at the manual, so I kind of guessed. It wasn't quite as intuitive as the Apex, but I did figure out how to do a few things. So like I set up a schedule for the calc stir. So every 4 hours, the stir will kick on for 1 minute, mix up the calc, it shuts off the doser, and then 20 minutes later, the doser comes back on. So 1 minute mixing, 19 minutes settling, then dosing. That happens every 4 hours. So did that, programmed the heater, which was fairly easy. It's not quite as intuitive where to find the options, but once you kind of poke around, it's not too hard to figure out, so we'll see. The P4 is still super duper new to me, so we'll figure out how that goes in time. I still got to calibrate the probes. I'll probably do that one tonight. But overall, I'm pretty stoked with how the tank's coming together. I've had 2 temporary kind of tanks. The lagoon is almost empty. A few more things in there. I got to finish fragging off some zoas and whatnot. Then I'll finish moving that over and add another little temporary tank, and that one's completely shut down and all moved in. So almost down to my 2 tanks, which will be good. So I'm really happy with how things are coming, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this update. If you did, hit that like button. If you got any questions, ask me in the comments below. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next update.